Hi, Mike's Carburetor Parts. Working on a Holley 1904 one barrel, and I thought I would show some of the names and how they work of the small passages in this carburetor. This is what they call the Economizer Block. A lot of people call it the metering block. It meters fuel. That's what it does. It does a whole lot of other things. And I just thought maybe I could point out a few things, help you understand what all this is about. There's a lot of small passages. You have to make sure they're clear. First of all, I want to mention, make sure this is flat. Take a flat file and go over it and make sure it's flat, otherwise fuel is going to leak out to places where you don't want it to. So let's start with the main jet. Here's the main jet right here. Let's see, this one is a 64, so it's 0.064 thousandths is what that hole measures. Okay. Anyhow, the fuel goes in here. The main jet goes up through this passageway and through this hole right here, and that corresponds to this hole right here. And it comes out. Now, not all 1904s are like this, but it's very similar. The gas will come out here mixed with air that's coming into the carburetor, and then also there's other ways for the air to mix in here also. But that's the main jet. There's a lot of things that work with the main jet. Here's your power valve here. When it's down, which is at power, it allows more fuel into here from the float bowl and back over to the main jet. So just a little additional fuel. Alright, so you got several check balls in this thing. You got a couple of them anyway. This one here is the intake for the accelerator pump. This hole right here, there's a check ball in there. You can get the check ball out with this screw. There are a lot of these that don't have screws. They have a plug, aluminum plug, that you have to drill out carefully without enlarging the hole. And all of our kits come with new plugs for these. Now, let me back up a little bit. First of all, we recommend not taking these apart unless you have a real reason to. Yeah, make sure the check balls are moving around. If you see any corrosion or anything, actually corrosion probably should replace the carburetor, but you have to have a good reason to take these apart because they're kind of a hassle. These aren't so bad with the screws, but you start messing around with these plugs, and you got a chance of damaging the economizer block. And you're not going to find one. There's used ones around on eBay, I've noticed, but finding the right one, that's a pig in a poke. All right, so this is where the fuel inlet is right here. Now, let's see here. Yeah. Okay, so when it's down, it's not going to allow any fuel in here. So the weight of the fuel and the vacuum of the accelerator pump moving in and out is going to pull fuel in here and fill up the block. Okay, that is the intake. And let's see, it on the yeah, now the discharge is right here. It's where the fuel goes when it discharges. Okay, and then, sorry, I'm looking at my notes at the same time. This is your discharge right here. The fuel will go in here, and then eventually comes out of this main discharge right here. Okay, there's no check ball or anything in here. This one comes out with a little drift pin. You take that pin out and that comes off. Most of them that I've seen are screwed on. I don't know what this is off of. I haven't seen one quite like this one. And now that I'm noticing, and this is your air vent for the float bowl. If you plug this off, you're going to have it's going to cause a vacuum in the float bowl, and your carburetor is going to pull fuel in when it's not supposed to. Such as idle. So if you're having a problem too much fuel at idle, that's one thing to check out. Alright, let's look at some other things. Let's see, right where is the vent? right here is an idle vent. Now this has got a very small, this one here is a vent also. Okay, both of them are vents. This one has a very small orifice in there. You got to blow through it, make sure it goes all the way through. And this corresponding one on the main body here is let's see here, this one right here is the idle vent, and I believe that's the other one. Anyhow, those are the idle vents. So if you're having trouble with the idle, I would really check this one here, make sure that passage open. Like I say, it's got a very small orifice. It takes nothing to plug it up. Okay, so you got to make sure you can blow through it really well. Soak the thing, you know, in carburetor cleaner, or I like to use simple grain, and wash it out good, blow it out, the whole smear. Getting a lot of corrosion around your carburetor and around this, it's probably time to replace the carburetor. So let's see, do we have any others? Main jet, power valve. Okay, so that pretty much covers the most important things. This is part of your vent to the float bowl also. This has to do with the air intake at the top of the carburetor. One other thing I might mention is your vacuum right here. This is coming up from here. If the gasket is covering that hole, that's okay, because it also can pull it in right here in that hole, and then it runs up through here. And this is the vacuum, and it helps run your distributor advance here, and also it feeds right here to your economizer diaphragm, which is part of your power valve system. Alright, so, but the main thing I wanted to focus on was this meter and block. It's very misunderstood. It looks very complicated, but it's just a bunch of passages, and with a check ball in it. There's check ball here also on the exhaust part of the accelerator pump. So the intake, like I say, the weight of the fuel and the suction from the accelerator pump will pull in fuel here, and then when you press on the gas, it fills the diaphragm, and the fuel will go out there and into this passageway and up here, and this will have a check ball in it. So I can hear two of them rattling around. They feel pretty good. It looks good. This check ball will get lifted up by the pressure of the gas when you're pressing on it, and out through the discharge. So that's how it's done on a 1904. A little bit different than a lot of carburetors that I've done videos on so far. So okay, so I hope that helps a little bit. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to clarify for you. Thank you for watching.